follow me on Twitter at RedFoxComs, my brand new Twitter account. So yesterday, a post from Jessi Smiles was getting a lot of traction on my feed, but I looked into the post and I found out it's from 3 years ago. It's actually being dug back up to go after Keemstar. And what Keemstar is saying is a coordinated effort to cancel him. We'll be taking a look at all that and more, as well as some other unrelated stories like the Ancient Reality case we got an update on, the 8 Thoughts story that we have an update on, as well as a new Twitch policy that's going into place that has Twitch partners very worried. But that'll all be later on in this segment. You can check out the timestamps down below if you want to take a look at that other stuff. We're going to take a look at the main story here. Jessi Smiles, who is a content creator, a YouTuber. This also relates to Curtis Lepore, a old Vine star. Looks like he's a Twitch streamer now. And, of course, Keemstar, who is, of course, he has to be already blocked on my new account. That's awesome. This is the post in question. We'll be taking a look at that in a second, but first we gotta do some context. Remember, this is from 2018, and Ethan's kind of digging this back up, saying he's so sorry about what happened to her. For those of you that don't know, this relates to a situation where Jessi accused her ex-boyfriend, Curtis Lepore, of raping her. We'll be taking a look at her statement on the situation, Curtis's statement on the situation, the tweets back and forth from Keemstar that go back as far as 2014 to sort of establish a timeline as to why Keemstar and Jessi sort of have this back and forth. But I just want to point out, all right, we're talking about a very sensitive subject, and Ethan Klein immediately jumps in here to say he's so sorry, and obviously he's getting dogged by Kavas and even Primic, who are all coming in here saying that he's using someone else's misery, someone else's rape, to go after Keemstar for YouTube drama. And normally I'm all for jumping on Ethan for a scummy reason like that, but I mean, hey, you know what, in fairness, he could legitimately be concerned. However, immediately upon scrolling down into the replies, old clips of Ethan's podcast show up where he's talking about this exact situation 3 years ago, and the tone is much different.
Wilson, my God.
Yeah.
Did you know?
It fell through though because one of the Viners was accused of rape.
Little rape.
Yeah.
Little rape.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, you can. Well, actually, he still has a successful.
Who is it? Well, you're not accusing him.
No. Yeah, he was accused. I think he settled out. It was like it was a rape accusation from his girlfriend.
Who was
this guy?
it?
Curtis Lepore.
Oh, I don't know that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let me look.
It happened several years ago, but there was a time I think where it was like all his comments were like rapist, and then he had to block everybody. But I think he's doing fine now.
I love how now his attention to the story is much more sensitive and from a much more caring perspective. I wonder what changed. I wonder what circumstances around the situation changed that made this story so much more interesting and worth giving a fuck about now. I have no idea what it could be. I don't know. Maybe Ethan just cares so much now. I don't know. That being said, let's familiarize ourselves with the situation. This is Curtis's statement from 2019 explaining what happened. They had a relationship in 2013, they broke up, and then a month later they re-engaged contact, and then he says here from his statement, the following week we would break up, yet we still spoke daily while she was in LA. Several days after the breakup, we were in contact as we had been, and while she was filming a video for her social media, she had injured herself and reached out to me shortly after. When I spoke with her, I immediately asked if she was okay and offered to take her to the hospital. She refused and stated she wanted to see me and asked for me to pick her up, so I did. Upon picking her up, she ran up to me enthusiastically and hugged me. Once in the car, she immediately proceeded to make physical, sexual advances, of which I reciprocated. This took place on the drive back to my apartment. Once in the apartment, we spoke briefly. I went into the bathroom for several minutes and she laid down on the bed. Once I came out of the bathroom, I got into bed with her and made sexual advances, and due to her reciprocated actions, I assumed she was lying there with her eyes closed, waiting for me to join, but not asleep. Although there were physical, reciprocated actions by both of us, there was never any verbal consent. I thought this was okay due to the conversations that had taken place the previous week, the history of frequent consensual sex that had taken place as recently as days before the incident, and the physical sexual advancements from the moment I picked her up and throughout the car ride back to my apartment. Almost immediately after I began, she opened her eyes, jumped out, and I did as well without any hesitation. She ran to the bathroom and stated that I had raped her. I immediately felt confused and mortified. I cared for this person deeply and would never never have done anything intentionally to harm her. Shortly after the incident, I took her back to her friend's house and was extremely apologetic. That night I learned that regardless of any sexual history, relationship status, physical sexual advancements, or any previous conversations which gave consent, if explicit verbal consent is not provided prior to any sexual act by both parties, then no sexual activity should take place. So that's his statement. What about hers? One day I hit my head when I was vining and started feeling dizzy. I tweeted about it. A lot of you remember, Curtis and I were broken up at the time, but he saw the tweets and became concerned. I was alone in LA, so he texted me and offered to come to get me from my friend's house. I said, no, I'm really okay. He insisted. I refused. He replied, I'm coming over, Jessi. You're not okay, and I know your friend's address since he had picked up a friend from there before. He even called my mom on the way to get me to let her know he was going to check up on me. I was so loopy and dizzy from hitting my head that he became concerned and spoke with the friend that I had been staying with. She was out of town. He told her that I wasn't doing well. This friend later offered to testify in court for me, but it wasn't needed since they had a confession. He knew I wasn't myself. He knew I wasn't feeling well. On the way to his house, I asked if he had brought the couch for his new house yet. He said no and asked why I was asking, and I said I wanted to sleep on it so that he knew I was not interested in sleeping next to him. He told me you shouldn't be sleeping away with a concussion. We got to his house. I was so tired, I made a beeline for his bed. He had a bunch of stuff on it, so I pushed it to the side and I jumped on. I started closing my eyes, but when I did, I started feeling so dizzy. I told him I feel so sick, and he was comforting me. Those are the last words I said to him, an exact quote, before I woke up to him having sex with me. Unprotected, unprovoked, full-on sex with a person who he was supposed to be looking out for. A person who was asleep and sick, a person that didn't have the chance to say no. Obviously, both these stories differ very much, and it's up to the person listening to decide what they think of the situation. On the skeptic side, you have Keemstar, even since 2014, who has always been very skeptical of this. By the way, the statements and the tweets that I'm using come from this video right here. I'll have it linked in the description. Although this video has an incredibly biased headline, the video itself is just purely information. It's just showing tweets and showing statements. I don't even remember if an opinion is even stated in the video, but if it is, it's stated more towards the end of the video. This is where I'm getting the sources from. It's a very biased headline, but I mean, hey, you're allowed to be biased, but, you know, while the headline itself is very biased, you know, the information, unless they're photoshopping tweets, which I doubt, it's just an informational video. Anyway, that being said, 2014, we have Keemstar saying, do you remember when Jessi Smiles accused Curtis Lepore of rape? Guess what charges dropped? Same thing will happen with Sam Pepper, watch. Jessi replied, charges were never dropped, but you also spelled guess wrong, so I assume we can't expect too much from you. Immediately ratioing him. He then said, sorry, Jessi Smiles, Twitter only has 140 spots. Please don't accuse me of rape. Then she said, you have handled the situation with such poor taste. You're right, you don't know what happened, but you sure felt like you did all these years when you constantly called me a liar and mocked my accusations. Sorry you hate all these rape cases, by the way. Must be hard on you. Now, given that she's saying all these years and there's no date attached to the tweet, I have to assume that we're fast forwarding a few years into the timeline here. Later on, Keemstar says, you have me blocked, but you respond to my fucking tweets. You're such a goddamn weirdo. Jessi Smiles. Everyone in this industry tells me what a fucking liar you are. So again, sorry I don't believe that your boyfriend raped you, but like I said, only you and him know the truth. You act like rape isn't serious. I never acted like that again. You have tried to manipulate and have been busted. This is why you are not believed and you can't be honest to save your life. As I said, you are all manipulating scumbags. This is him responding to another fan. Here he is saying, we have a right to have an opinion, and when the internet tries to manipulate and shame you into being quiet, speak louder. Here he is saying, I hate cases of rape. In most cases, only 2 people in the world actually know what happened. Everyone else has to guess. The Jessi Smiles and Curtis story is so hard to believe because they were boyfriend and girlfriend, but the truth is, none of us actually know what happened. Someone pointed out that, you know, girlfriends, you know, and boyfriends can still rape each other, to which Keem replied that they can also accuse each other falsely, which is true. But I mean, I gotta be honest, this is very interesting to me that Keemstar is so crystal clear in his assumption that she's telling, you know, a lie. From these tweets, all I can gather is that Keemstar knows Jessi Smiles to be an untrustworthy person and somebody not to take seriously. I'm not really familiar with any of the people involved except for Keemstar. I'm a little bit surprised that Keemstar is this nuclear on a situation, you know, as delicate as a rape story. You know, Keemstar's always bombastic and nuclear on Twitter, but usually when we're talking about stuff like rape and kind of serious topics, he'll tone it down a little bit, but he's not really doing that in this situation, which is interesting to me. I tried looking to see if maybe there was a drama alert on this that I missed, but I typed drama alert Jessi Smiles and nothing shows up except for other videos talking about the situation. We have a drama alert here that's unrelated. I don't know. Regardless, in this post from 2018 that's now being dug up a lot yesterday and today on Twitter, Jessi Smiles basically just laments the fact that Keemstar did not believe her rape story. You have since the beginning insisted that I'm a liar and that I was not raped. You have repeatedly spewed hate and stupidity in an attempt to discredit me. These are the last words I will ever utter in your direction. Unfortunately, I was raped. I could care less if a bottom feeder like you believes me, but since you love to condemn misinformation, let's get a few things straight. Curtis Lepore admitted to raping me multiple times on a tape phone call that was admissible in court. You say it's not logical that with the confession, he's still not in prison. Damn right it's fucking not. Welcome to our justice system. Trials are expensive and the DA offered him a plea deal instead. Charges were not dropped like you said they were. Me making story times for entertainment purposes does not discredit me. You're the type of guy that shame a stripper if she was raped in an alley. She was asking for it, right? To everyone coming in on my Twitter just to call me a liar and shame me, bring it on. I've been through worse than this and I always get back up. I'm sorry to my fans for deleting my tweets where I spoke up. I let the assholes win this time and I wish I hadn't. Always use your voice and never back down. Shitty people like Keemstar will never go away, but luckily they're at the bottom of the barrel, so it's easy to rise above them. So yesterday, very quickly, Keemstar noticed that Trisha Paytas is jumping in there all of a sudden on a 2018 tweet saying that this breaks her heart and blah, blah, blah. Ethan's in there saying he's so sorry, Jessi. Def Noodles comes in there. This is heartbreaking. I hope you're doing well. Even Kat Tenberge, a reporter for Insider, has been getting a lot of attention and getting promoted by Ethan. She's jumping in there, and he captions it saying, "This is their new game plan to take me out. Good luck. You better hope it works." Justin Wang saying, "At least they're using a living person this time." True. Keemstar also put out a Twitter video that I can just summarize as him basically saying that they're all trying to cancel him and they're all working together, and that if they're going to play the cancel culture game, he's going to win because he always has. He also shit all over Def Noodles, which is nice. Actually, speaking of Def Noodles, scrolling through this tweet right here, I noticed that in Kat Tenberge's tweet, she's replying to it because Paige Christie retweeted it. That's Petty Paige. She sucks, by the way. She called me racist out of nowhere, and then when I challenged her to a debate to explain, or not even a debate, I just challenged her to explain why she thinks I'm racist, she just immediately folded and ran away. Not that I'm not a dick to her on Twitter. I mean, I totally am, but I'm just saying she's terrible. But yeah, that's about the summary of the Keemstar drama. And to be honest, I mean, look, if they're going to try to cancel Keemstar, if they're going at Keem, he is right about one thing, is that he'll probably win. Because, you know, Ethan, he sort of pretends like he's the good guy, and you got Def Noodles, who his career, even though he's like the least credible person on Twitter, he kind of has to at least have the illusion that he's credible, considering that he's basically a journalist, you know, for lack of a better term. You got a bunch of people that have to at least pretend that they're good guys. Then you got Keemstar, who's pretty much an open asshole. So automatically, it's an uphill battle for them if they want to beat Keemstar in the cancel culture game. Keemstar's probably going to win, and to be honest, I'm really rooting for nobody in this situation. This is an instance where I hate everyone involved, so, you know, if Ethan and Keem and all these guys want to character assassinate each other, I hope they all lose. Or I hope they all win. Either way, I don't care. I have no stake in this game. I just want to know why Keemstar is so nuclear on this one case. I would like to know his thought process on why he really believes that she's lying about this rape story. I'm not saying that she couldn't be lying. I just want to know his mentality, his logic. Because again, usually, I mean, we're not going to come out and say, everyone's entitled to their opinion, all right? Everyone is entitled to their opinion. If you believe somebody's lying about X, Y, Z, you are totally allowed to say that. I just want to know, like, the logic. Like, why do you believe this so strongly, you know? I mean, if his logic is literally that she's lied about shit in the past, so she could be lying about this, and other than that, he doesn't really have any solid proof. Well, I mean, a broken clock is still right twice a day, so how do you combat that? I don't know. Anyway, guys, we're gonna move on to a couple other stories, just some quick stories to take a look at for this video. French girl who went on to Drama Alert a few months ago, that was then released about 1 month ago on Keemstar's SoundCloud. She has basically been saying that the Keemstar interview sucked, that Keemstar severely butchered the situation, that she didn't want the interview to come out even. She's basically been teasing that a much better YouTuber is going to come out with a much more detailed documentary on ancient reality, who, just in case you guys forgot, is the formerly 200K sub meme YouTuber that was friends with pretty much everyone back in the day. He even did some editing work in 2017 for Filthy Frank. Well, Lou's basically been saying that a documentary fully exposing this guy is going to be coming out, and it's going to be so much better than Drama Alert. Well, yesterday she leaked the fact that it was being made by Gamer from Mars, and she said Gamer from Mars was supposed to make a video and decided not to release it anymore because I was feeling anxious and asked him to release it. He cared more about himself than how I felt, like everyone else I talked to. She also had a twit longer basically talking about it in more detail, saying the same thing, that Gamer from Mars was the YouTuber and that he was the one making the video and that he's not releasing it anymore. She then deleted the whole thread, stating for reasons you'll find out sometimes, I guess, lol, because I'm easily manipulated, so I'll obey as usual. Someone asked her, is Gamer from Mars continuing work on the AR doc? She said, I guess, with a bunch of question marks. Then she says down here, apparently he wants to keep going with the vid, so this makes it complicated. Someone said the situation is a mess, and she said, he was being clear, maybe I'd know, he barely says a word, then people come to me telling me all of it. So basically, business goes on as usual. Work is continuing on the video, at least according to her, although information is kind of all over the place right now. It seems like this was taken to Twitter a little bit too early. Yeah. I do wish her luck. I wish her and everyone involved in the story luck with getting this information out there. I would like to know about this ancient reality guy a little bit more because, you know, Pyrocynical is basically off the hook. Any involvement he has in this situation, he's off the hook. It's now all on ancient reality and what this guy has done. More information needs to come out about this guy and his involvement and what he's done, the crimes that he's committed, everything about that. More info needs to come out, and hopefully that does. I really want to know. I really want to know more about this guy and why he's dipped and who he knows and who knew what he knew. All kinds of stuff. I really want this entire case to be cracked wide open, and hopefully we'll see that. Also, update to the 8 Thoughts situation. 8 Thoughts has been pretty quiet about his whole involvement, his relationship with Blue, and his involvement in the harassment that Drifter's been getting for a few years now. We did a podcast covering that in extensive detail on Monday. 8 Thoughts was supposed to come on this podcast, but an hour before we decided to shoot it live, 8 Thoughts informed me that he would not be coming on the show. That's fine, that's his decision, although I would have loved to hear his take on the situation. Now he's come out, basically said that, well, we'll read his thread right here. He says, 1, some people are confusing me being an asshole and laughing at a troll's behavior with me telling him what to do. I'm not responsible for another man's actions, so if I laugh and react to someone else's actions, I'm guilty of that person's actions? No, that's not how it works. 2, but that's the narrative Drifter is trying to float. If you think I'm an asshole for laughing at inappropriate behavior, fine. If you think I'm an asshole for things I say, fine. But because you think I'm an asshole doesn't make me complicit in another person's actions. 3, keep in mind I did tell Blue to stop numerous times because even though I'm laughing at some of the situations as you've seen, it's too much. Showing some DMs here where he's basically saying, like, chill the fuck out. This is going too far. Drifter is quick to point out 8 Thoughts' direct involvement in the situation, shown this clip right here.
Killer Codester said, call from the Plano Police Department number.
Oh yeah, I've done that before.
I got the number. I call him from that and say, hey, like, talk to Air, call for you. We want the number?
He wouldn't believe that though, because it's too late at night.
Just no, he would right now. Just try it.
So that's him directly ordering Blue, the deranged troll, to spoof the Plano Police Department number and prank him, which kind of debunks 8 Thoughts' whole defense of saying, like, look, all I did was laugh at the fucked up shit that happened to Drifter. I didn't have any involvement with it. And yeah, he could have laughed at a few things and directed a few other things behind the scenes, but when you start having evidence like this leaking out here, unfortunately, nobody in the public eye is gonna believe you, 8 Thoughts. What you need to do, and this is my genuine advice, is you need to make a video and just come out with evidence, receipts, basically saying, here's what I did do, here's what I didn't do, here's exactly what I'm guilty of, and here's exactly what I'm not guilty of. Just come out and clear the air. He said that he's not going to respond to this situation because he's worried Drifter is going to flag down his channel. I say if you just come out with the video just being entirely transparent with your involvement with everything, and Drifter strikes that, suddenly it's going to look really bad for Drifter and you're only going to win. I mean, anytime a YouTuber gets striked, it always just boosts and draws more publicity to their channel. I don't know why you'd be afraid of a strike, but that's his stated reason and that's all we're going to get. Finally, we have just what we wanted, more Twitch rules. That's exactly what we needed. Your fellow Arab, this is a streamer with about 500k followers. he got emailed this email from Twitch. In January, we began enforcing our updated hateful conduct and harassment policy. Today, we're shifting focus and talking about how we are tackling misconduct that happens off Twitch. Twitch is once again stating that off-service harassment, things that happen off-platform, and off-service behavior could contribute to your account getting banned. They also say that off-service investigations are significantly more complex, so we partner with a third-party law firm to work on investigations with immense experience in the area to ensure our off-Twitch investigations are as thorough and swift as possible. Now, these are not necessarily new Twitch rules. These are all things that they've pretty much been open about doing for a while now. They have said if you're an asshole offline, if you harass offline, if you violate our Twitch rules off Twitch or on Twitch, your account is subject to getting a ban. They've also said in the past that things like crimes being committed or sexual abuse cases, pedophilia, all of that information will be investigated and worked with a private law firm. So if you're found guilty of raping somebody, being a pedophile, not only do you have to worry about 10,000 other much more important things in your life, but also your Twitch channel is going down as well. I don't think that publishers and platforms should be getting involved with that type of thing. I think that if you're guilty of committing a crime, you should go to jail. I don't really care about you having a platform on the internet, although I guess if you're a pedophile, you should be stripped off the internet because, well, you can be a danger to other people, especially children. I don't really care about this rule, to be honest, because I don't think it's going to be an issue that many people are going to have to face. For instance, if I stream on Twitch, I'm going to have to worry about, getting banned for saying dumb shit like simp and cuck, which are banned words from Twitch. Those are things I'll have to worry about. I'm not going to have to worry about Twitch, looking into my past criminal record and, sexual abuse cases because those are non-existent. I don't do that, so I don't have to worry about it. It's very easy. I think in this specific case, people are overreacting and acting like, oh, we can't say anything now anymore on Twitch. Guys, it's always been this way. This is nothing new. All Twitch is saying is the same stuff they've always been saying beforehand. They're just as radical as they were before, except now they're saying that crimes will be investigated and they will be working with law firms, which is interesting, but something I don't really think is too negative. That's just what I think. I think people are overreacting. I think there's much worse things to worry about with Twitch, such as their bullshit rules, their inconsistent enforcement, and their dumb shit they do, like, again, banning the word simp and cuff. Anyway, guys, that's been my daily ramble. My name is AuggieRC. I'm gonna head out of here. I'll catch you guys later, everyone. Peace out. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.